Get going. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Scholarship Foundation of St. Louis's Summer Transition Workshop Series. Today we are going to be talking about understanding tuition payment plans. My name is Grace. I am one of the student advisors here at the Scholarship Foundation. All right. So to get started, first let's talk about what we are going to cover tonight. So we're going to start with the basics. We are going to talk about what is a tuition payment plan. We'll then go to talk about finding payment plan options at your school. We'll compare kind of different methods you can use to cover your out-of-pocket costs, whether that be loans, paying in full, or utilizing a payment plan, and we will kind of talk about the pros and cons of all of those options. And then we will look at some examples of real payment plans from some institutions here in Missouri. All right, so to get started, like I said, let's start with the basics and just talk about what is a tuition payment plan. So a tuition payment plan gives you the option to pay your balance in installments over the course of the semester. And so what I mean by that is many students, after their scholarships and grants have been applied to their account, may still have a remaining balance that they need to pay or a bill to their school. And the kind of default is a lot of schools will expect that you will make one payment at the beginning of the semester to cover the rest of your costs. But a tuition payment plan gives you the option to kind of split up that payment into smaller installments, which can make it a little bit more manageable. Payment plan options differ from college to college, so there is not kind of like one standard payment plan option that all schools offer. Some schools don't offer payment plans. It really depends institution to institution. And plans can include things like additional fees or costs. So it's really important to research a little bit about what options your school offers and be mindful of some of these things like additional fees and costs. Students can typically enroll through their student portal. So students likely have a login where they can see their student account, where they may be able to pay a bill, to check their financial aid. In one of those spots, you likely can enroll in a payment plan, but if you are unable to find that, there are folks on your campus who can help you kind of navigate that process. All right, so next let's look at finding payment plan options at your school. So I mentioned there is no kind of standard that every school offers. So you likely are going to need to do a little bit of research to see what options exist at your school. And much like payment plan options can be a little bit different, every school has a little bit different language or names that they use for offices on campus. So depending on what name your school uses, the office that manages a financial or tuition payment plan may be like the financial aid office, the financial services office, a bursar's office, a cashier's office. There's lots of different names, but all of these offices kind of fall under the umbrella of like student financial services or folks who manage student accounts. And so that likely is where you will find folks who can help you understand what your options are and how to enroll in a payment plan. This may sound a little oversimplistic or silly, but honestly, a lot of times the easiest way to find the options at your school is just to Google your school's name and then payment plan. Again, it sounds kind of silly, but honestly, because schools use different names for the offices that manage this type of a plan, because every school's website is set up a little differently, it often is quickest and easiest to just pull up a search engine, type in your school's name, and then payment plan, and that likely will bring you to the page that has the information you're looking for. So we've talked a little bit about what is a tuition payment plan. We've talked a little bit about how to find what the options are at your school. Now let's kind of compare and contrast the difference between paying in full, utilizing a payment plan, and then using something like loans to pay your out-of-pocket costs. And so when I'm saying cover your out-of-pocket costs, what I mean by that is whatever is left after your grant aid, so grants, scholarships, that kind of free money that doesn't need to be paid back, is what you will need to cover for the rest of your semester, or cover the rest of those costs. And so a lot of students use kind of a combination of these things. You may take out some student loans and then use a payment plan to cover anything that is not covered by loans, or pay in full. So you can kind of use these options, mix and match. But most students still, after that free aid, have some costs to be covered for the semester. So let's talk about these three different options and talk about some pros and cons to each. So the first is paying in full. So again, like I said, a lot of schools, that's kind of their assumption, is that if you have not enrolled in a payment plan and you have a balance, that you will be paying that upfront in one kind of big payment. A pro to doing that is that if you are able to make one payment at the beginning of the semester and cover the rest of your bill or take care of the rest of your costs, you don't need to worry about bills throughout the semester. So that's really great to not have that as one extra thing on your plate while you're focusing on things like transitioning to college, your classes, all that good stuff. A con to paying in full is that typically, if you are going to do this, that payment is due very early in the semester. So like August, early September for fall, like January for spring. And so that is an option that may not be realistic or feasible for many students and families, depending on how much that cost is. You may not have several thousands of dollars just sitting around ready to be given to your school. So that may not be a feasible option to just pay your bill in one go for a lot of students and families. So the payment plan option, like we've talked about, allows for kind of smaller, more manageable payments over the course of the semester and the academic year. And so for a lot of families, that might mean that you have one or two paychecks that come in between payment dates. So that may allow a little bit of money to be coming in, and you don't have to make that kind of one big payment at the very beginning of the semester. A con to the payment plan is that they can have additional fees. So we'll take a look at a couple of examples that have additional costs associated with a payment plan. And if a student falls behind on payments, there can be late fees or additional costs kind of associated. Much like other types of bills that exist in the world, if you fall behind on payments, that can end up costing you more. And so that is something that you may want to keep in mind as well as you're considering your options. And then finally, student loans. So like I mentioned, a lot of folks use, some student loans and may also be making payments out of pocket, but student loans are a pro of student loans is that money is borrowed and so it is available upfront. So it's not coming out of your pocket, not right now at least. So you don't have to worry about having that money available and ready to make a payment, especially if you are utilizing federal student loans. The federal student loans that you are eligible for and accept, that money goes directly from the federal government to your institution, to your school. So as a student, you don't have to worry about kind of being the middleman and turning around and taking that money to your school. They handle all that automatically, which can be a little bit easier. Now, cons to student loans. Loans typically need to be repaid with interest. So that's kind of like a fee that you are paying to borrow the money. So you end up paying more down the line after graduation typically than you may have paid if you had just paid out of pocket at the time. So like I said, when you're utilizing student loans, that money may not be coming out of your pocket right this minute, but it will be down the line. And typically more money will be coming out of your pocket down the line than if you had paid right now. So those are kind of the three options that you might use to cover the rest of your costs for a semester. And again, whatever works best for you is going to be dependent on a lot of factors, both what your costs are for the semester, your financial situation as a student, and potentially your family's financial situation as well. So these are all things that you may need to take into consideration as you are deciding what's the best option for you. So with all of that in mind, we are going to take a look at, like I said, a few examples of payment plans from institutions that are here in Missouri. So first, we're going to start with a private institution here in St. Louis University, also known as SLU, and see kind of what their payment plan options look like. So you'll notice first at the top of their page, they make it very clear that you are welcome to pay in full. Any school is going to be thrilled to take your full payment upfront, so they will always give you that option. But you'll see here that they note that their full payment for the fall semester would be due by August, and full payment would be due for the spring semester by January. So again, quite early in the semester. SLU offers 2 different monthly payment plans, so you can see that they state that they have the 2 different plans, but they also note that there is a deadline for enrolling in monthly payment plans by July 31st for the fall semester and by December 31st for the spring semester. So again, this is a reason that it's really important to be researching kind of what is your school's policies or options, because this requires a little bit of forward thinking and being proactive to ensure that you are enrolled in a payment plan by that due date, right? So July 31st, if you are interested in utilizing a payment plan, you kind of need to be thinking about that in advance. So it's just really important to do your research early and be proactive. So the 2 options that SLU offers, they're going to give you either a semester enrollment fee plan. So you can see that here you're making monthly payments that are interest-free, so you don't have that additional fee on top of whatever your monthly payment is. But they do have a fee of $75 each semester to participate in this plan. So although you aren't paying any interest on your monthly payments, you need to be planning for that extra $75 each semester, or $150 over an academic year as kind of a charge to be enrolled in this payment plan. The other option they give is an interest charge plan, which in this case, they don't have that $75 enrollment fee, but you do pay a 1% interest charge on any unpaid balance for the semester. There is another plan that we're going to look at in just a couple minutes that has this kind of same policy, and it like breaks it down with numbers. So we'll take a look at that. I think that'll help illustrate what that kind of means when it really comes down to what the math looks like. But it's important to know that this option, just you're paying interest on instead of kind of that enrollment fee. So that's something that you have to calculate in. You'll be paying additional money. So they provide kind of an illustration down here, and they say if you owe between $4,000 and $5,000, you are more likely to benefit from choosing that enrollment fee plan because your 1% charge would likely exceed that $75. But if you have a smaller balance, so less than $4,000 to $5,000, you are more likely to benefit from that 1% interest charge because your 1% interest will likely be less than $75 for the semester. So again, it's unique to your situation. You kind of have to know a little bit about what your charges will be for the semester to make your most informed decision. But that's kind of what SLU's options look like. So next, let's go and look at University of Missouri, or Mizzou, and see kind of what they've got going on. They again tell you that you are welcome to pay your balance in full at the beginning of the semester, or you have to enroll in a payment plan by that first semester payment due date. So in the case of the fall semester, that would be September 10th. So by September 10th, you either need to have paid your bill in full or enrolled in the payment plan, because if you don't, they mention here that you will be automatically enrolled in a payment plan and charged a $200 non-refundable setup fee. So if you don't either pay in full or make a payment plan decision by September 10th, they will automatically put you in a payment plan and charge you an extra $200. So that comes back to being proactive and kind of making sure that you have everything set even before you set foot on campus, to save yourself some money and some fees down the road. So their plan is similar to SLU. You can see that they have monthly payment dates. They have a date by which you have to be enrolled in the payment plan. They give you 4 dates throughout the course of the semester. If I was a Mizzou student, a question I would have when I look at that is that there is a setup fee of $50. They don't state whether that's $50 per semester, if that's $50 per year. So I would have a question about that. How often am I charged that extra $50? But that is something to keep in mind, that again, they're charging you to use this payment plan. And then here they note that they have a late fee, which is again, that 1% of the remaining account balance that will be assessed if a payment is not made by the due date. So if you are unable or do not make your payment by that 10th of the month, they will charge you an additional 1% fee of whatever your remaining balance is. So again, just important to be aware of the policies of your school to avoid any surprises or to avoid any hidden fees that you weren't expecting. Okay. And then our final example that we're going to look at is Missouri State. So a couple things I want to call your attention to. Although they offer monthly payments as well, here they only do 3 payments as opposed to the 4 payments per semester that we saw at Mizzou and the 4 payments per semester that we saw at SLU. So that means that your total balance would only be broken up over 3 payments instead of 4, which would make that amount a little bit higher. So that's something to keep in mind. And Missouri State has, everyone is charged that 1% fee on the semester balance. So I told you earlier that we were going to see kind of a breakdown of what that actually looks like in practice. And here we can see what it looks like to assess, or add that 1% fee to the remaining balance. So in this example, the student owes $10,000 for the semester. And so their payments are broken up into those 3 installments. So they owe $3,333-ish per payment. So the student goes ahead and makes their first payment. On their second payment, you'll see because the remaining balance is $6,666, there's a 1% of that remaining balance applied to their account. So we have the standard payment plus the finance charge of $66.67. So that brings their second installment payment to $3,400, so a little bit higher than that first payment was. And then in our last payment, because our remaining balance here is $3,333, 1% of that is added, so $33.33, which brings the total for that last payment to $3,366. So although the total that was owed at the beginning of the semester was $10,000, because there is that 1% fee that is added on, that adds $100 extra in finance charges. So the total that you would pay for the semester is $10,100. So that's kind of a breakdown of how that 1% fee looks when you calculate it all out. So again, it would be important to keep in mind as a student who's at Missouri State and using a payment plan that they're going to have that extra fee added on each payment. Okay. So in summary, we covered a lot of information there, but as I kind of shared at the beginning, and as we just saw, kind of comparing all of those different payment plans, every school's options look a little unique. So even though there was a lot of similarities between those, none of those were exactly the same. And so that's why it's really important to, check your school's website, call your school's financial services, business office, bursar, whatever word they use, and see what your options are and make sure that you fully understand all of the kind of policies and the procedure to utilize a payment plan. Again, being proactive is key. So we saw a couple places where there were additional late fees that can be added on if you haven't enrolled in the payment plan or you don't make a payment on time. And so it's important to be timely and keep up with deadlines and be aware of those enrollment dates and those kinds of things. So if you need assistance researching or understanding what the options are at your institution, free help is available. As I mentioned, every campus is going to have some kind of an office that kind of manages student accounts. And so certainly there should be staff on your campus and at your institution who can answer any questions you have and make sure that you have all the information you need as you're kind of deciding what option makes the most sense for you. But I also will use this time to shamelessly plug my colleagues at the Scholarship Foundation, our team of student advisors. We are here to answer questions and help folks navigate the process to college. So if you need help seeing what options are available, whether it's for tuition payment plans or other things that you're wondering as you prepare to go to college in the fall, We are here to support you. Our advising services are free of charge, so you're always welcome to reach out via email, give us a phone call, and we can assist you as you kind of make sure that you have everything you need to start college here in the next couple months. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about our upcoming summer transition workshops. So on June 13th, we will have Determining Unmet Need and Borrowing Necessity. June 25th, we will have Creating a Graduation Plan. June 27th, we will have Locating and Accessing Campus Resources. All of these workshops will be virtual, just like this one, and you can register for any and all of them on our website, sfspl.org. We would love to see you there. And then finally, I just wanted to share our contact information. If you have questions or if you need assistance, please feel free to reach out. We would be happy to assist you in making sure that you have all the information you need to be prepared to start college. Thanks.
Thank you for your help.
Thanks, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you guys have any questions, we will stop the recording. If you have anything that you want to ask kind of